And if you want to get involved in the chat, just type in Spirit and Roots in Facebook and you will find us gathered in a conversation on the group page there. But without further ado, we have got our first guest on the show. You might have heard him tinkering away on his beautiful guitar he's got in front of him. It's Mr. Joe Wilkes. How you doing, my lovely friend?
Very well, yeah, it's great to see you. And it's great to see you in your work habitat, which I've never seen before, except for being on stage, which is your other work habitat.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a new Dan for me.
Yeah, do you like it?
Well, you're very professional.
Oh, am I?
Which is good, yeah. And your voice, you left me a voicemail earlier, and when I listened to it on YouTube, it's like, wow, it's like I'm on the radio already, this guy's on radio.
That's so funny to say that. I was actually like running down the road.
Compressed
I was like,
voices.
I appreciate that, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I was in panic mode. I was like racing to the station, running late. So, for those people who don't know you, Joe, you've been in London for how many years now?
Nearly 30 years, but I'm not a Londoner, but I've been here nearly that long.
So tell us, where are you from?
So I still have like that accent that they have in like where you say like bath and glass and laugh.
Yeah,
but,
so going a little bit up north, I'm thinking.
Yeah, sort of Midlands. I'm from Coventry, yeah.
Coventry.
Rob Corkin did tell me that I denied being from Coventry live on stage when he introduced me once, but I don't remember that. I'm very proud of it, actually.
Yeah, because Coventry has got... I was trying to think earlier today, like people from Coventry and the specials.
Yeah, which is great, isn't it? That's like what a legacy that is.
Yeah, it's like
But that is it, though. It's just that.
Yeah. I did have a little bit of a dig around. I couldn't find anyone else, but hey.
Yeah. Well, me.
Yeah, there you go. Mr. Joe Wilkes is certainly the best troubadour to come out of that town. So tell us, Joe, how many albums have you released?
Done now, mate? 4. Last one was called Japanese Elvis. Yeah. Got 5 stars.
Wow.
And some of its reviews. But yes, it's a good album. If you haven't got that, ladies and gentlemen, listeners, it's on Spotify. It might even be free on SoundCloud because I think I ticked the box that says you can just download it for free.
So what would people do? Would they go to SoundCloud?
Well, they have to be able to use the internet. And then, they just go and click on things and like it and share it and leave comments that say, this guy's so amazing. I can't believe I've only just discovered him, but thanks to Dan's radio show.
Well, that Japanese Elvis album is actually fantastic. The first time I heard it was today. Yeah, I was listening, and it is a really, really good album. I already knew some of the songs from watching you play live, but it's a cracking album. And you got a new one due out this year, right?
Yeah, it's going to be called Hope in My Chest, Fire in My Throat. And it's going to have some folk songs on it.
So tell us about that title then, Hope in My Chest.
It's just a line from one of the songs I wrote. But probably half of the songs will be like traditional songs, like folk songs. Okay. It's nearly done. I'll really try and finish it super soon and get it out.
And what was the inspiration behind, going and looking at some of those old folk? Are they all British folk tunes?
Yeah, I suppose it's like a shared heritage, isn't it? Like some of the songs have crossed the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And there's probably like American versions of the same songs, but they're like ballads that were dug up in the Victorian era, recorded by people. What do they call that? People like Cecil Sharp.
Yeah, folk collectors, right?
Folk collectors. So it's just those songs that they're not obscure. I've done a version of Hares on the Mountain and Seven Gypsies, which are put on a 7-inch. That got played on other radio, and that's had some people have said that it's good.
And so, what made you want to go,
go folk?
Well, we've
always been into folk. I mean, all of us, we're all a little bit into it. It's just whether you take the plunge and decide to record some of it. I just thought I'd have a go. I like it.
I mean, it really suits you, the stuff I've heard, and we're going to hear some more tonight, but you do a really good job with it. So you've obviously always listened to a little bit of trad stuff, and I just wondered, we're both in London, which is about as urban as it gets in London, but as it gets in Britain, but where would you source out good folk music in London? Are there any clubs?
Yeah. There was I did one the other day in Tooting. It used to be at a place called the Tooting Folk Club, and it's good. Yeah. It's like that, you know, it's unamplified. They book a featured act, and then people play. They have floor spots, and they play, and that was good. But another one that you must have played or you must know about is the Goose is Out in South London.
Yes.
Nigel and Sue run that.
And you are playing there.
And I'm playing there.
When?
At the end of the month with Chris Wood, 30th of September.
I mean, that's going to be a great night.
Yeah.
Chris Wood, I had him,
Yeah.
well, we interviewed him on the show 2020, I think it was, during the
Ah.
whole pandemic thing.
Yeah.
Big fan of him. That's going to be a great lineup. So tell us the date for that show again.
I think it's the 30th. It's a Friday or a Saturday. It'll be on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, everybody, if you can make it down to South London, Nunhead, I aim to be there. It's going to be a great lineup. Joe Wilkes and Chris Wood together. So, you're aiming to get this album finished this year.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear a track from you.
Yeah, I'll play one. I'm going to play Love Is Pleasing. It's a traditional song. Yeah, and that's all I say about it, but it's like a British folk song. But you can tell me after I play whether there are any American versions of this song that were...
Love Is Pleasing. Yeah, I think, I know some of the Irish versions of that song.
Yeah, certainly, yeah, definitely. I mean, all these songs are...
They all
If anything, they're even more Irish, aren't they? They were sort of survived in Ireland more than they...
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because Down in the Sally Gardens, I know it's very much an English traditional folk song, but
Yeah.
I kind of, again, I associate that with like Irish artists now. It's kind of...
Yeah, it all got banned in Britain by Oliver Cromwell, by the Puritans.
Is that right?
Yeah, singing and dancing.
Tell me a little bit about that before you...
This is what I heard. This is what I heard. I'm not an expert, but...
Yeah.
And then, so all those songs survived in Ireland. The stories come from Europe. They come from the Italian Renaissance, stories of fair maidens and murder and incest and all these terrible stories that you hear in folk music. Come to England and the British Isles. And then the Protestants, when the Cromwell took it, they banned all of that stuff. And then it survived in Catholic Ireland, where they were actually more liberal and more just all right with singing and dancing. And that's so a lot of them, we think of them as Irish songs, but they're originally not Irish songs, but they probably weren't even originally English either.
That's
probably
fascinating.
German or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll play this.
Mr. Joe Wilkes, everybody.
It's so technical, so technical. Okay, so Love Is Pleasing.
How about that, everybody? That was Joe Wilkes with Love Is Pleasing. Well, that is special, my friend. That's a really, really, really good version. Yeah, killing it.
Thank you. Yeah, good.
Yeah, so tell us, on the record, is it going to be stripped back, like just voice and guitar like that?
Yeah, there's some overdubs. John O'Neill plays some flute. I'll tell you what I've got. Do a version of Seven Gypsies with a seringue on it.
What's a
Seringue? I'm not sure what syllable you stress when you pronounce it correctly, but it's an Indian instrument. You recognise the sound of it. It's like a mini sitar.
Okay.
It's a very unusual instrument, and it plays these sort of. It's lovely anyway. So we used that because I thought gypsies, they could originally come from Kashmir. Blah 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 blah. Just trying to string it out. I just know a guy who plays it. It sounds great. Did a version of the Old Triangle. It's a famous Irish song.
Yeah.
We used the same instrument on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. I can't wait to hear this album now.
Yeah, I hope it's not a disappointment. I like it.
And have you recorded most of it at home?
Yeah.
So is that working out for you, sort of home recording?
Yeah. I used to work in a studio, and I used to just use the studio. But because I'm just a singer-songwriter, I can afford to buy the necessary stuff that you need to do it at home. So yeah.
Great, Joe. And would you say, like, as you've kind of dug, I know you've played these throughout your, your lifetime as a musician, but like, as you've kind of like started to record these songs and dug into the traditional tunes, I just wondered, has that helped you grow as a songwriter as you really start to get under the hood, so to speak?
I don't know.
Not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. No, probably not. I don't know. I mean, it's just. But there are people I've played with that have made me grow as a songwriter. I did some gigs with a guy called Leon Rosselson with the Goose Is Out. Actually, they booked him.
Legendary.
He's legendary, and I did a few gigs with him. And every time I had to go on stage with him, I just thought, why haven't I written some good songs? Because he's just so He's just devastating, and I've never felt that with other people. I felt other people were much better than me in lots of ways, but I've never felt like my songs were naff in comparison. But he's so good.
Yeah, his songs are almost like I'm trying to actually think of. You often hear them at kind of political events.
Oh, he's really political. Yeah, like half his material is about tearing down capitalism.
They feel kind of timeless, his songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Leon Russellson. It's not a name you hear very often, but you're right.
No.
That's fantastic. But getting back to your songwriting and away from the traditional stuff, I wondered, and we asked this question to like all the guests who come on, like, what is your? It's a hard question to answer sometimes, so don't feel you have to say anything in particular. But what is your songwriting process like? Are you someone who's constantly thinking of lyrical ideas and melodies in your head away from an instrument, or are you one of these people who usually tends to tinker around on the piano or guitar and a song will come from that?
I think about the words. Yeah. I do just play the guitar and think, oh, that's nice. Yeah. And I sometimes try and remember it, but I generally just write words.
And tell me a little bit about that, because your songs kind of vary. You can write about your own life in your songs and about love and all that kind of stuff. But you've also got that kind of political dimension to your
writing. Some of the songs. Yeah.
So sometimes that's a hard thing to do. You can be like active and involved and interested in politics, but to write a good political song is like a...
Oh, they're just so embarrassing, aren't they? Most
they can
songs,
be, yeah.
It's just horrible listening to political songs, and you want to like them because if you agree with what they say, but it's it's just so cringe is the word. So I try and tread carefully into that terrain. But I have written songs about how I feel politically about the world. Yeah. But I try and just like edge it in to just like one verse or something.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. And apart from Leon Russellson, who obviously doesn't do that really so well, who are some of the people who you think do that really well? And
Dick Goffin. I played with him as well. He's very good. I mean, but there aren't many.
Chris Wilkes is a good one as well, right?
Yeah, the best is Bob Marley. Because all his stuff, 90% of it's political, and it's all beautiful. None of it's cringe at all. I mean, it's just mental how good it is.
And the great thing about him as well, I don't mean to trivialise this, but he made people sing. His songs are so singable. Yeah. And the fact that it was on everyone's tongues and lips, because it was so like melodic, and he just had such a genius instinct for like writing pop songs. Once you can make people sing the song and then put those lyrics that are kind of activist with that, it's like dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You can change the world.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where I'll go that far. I think it's a good soundtrack to people who are changing the world, but I don't think the music itself really, it's just a nice, nourishing thing for people, isn't it? It's not, in and of itself, it doesn't make a difference. I don't think you listen to a song and then think, oh, now I'll go and close down late capitalism, or even something like like a smaller issue. I don't know whether.
But I guess I mean like the domino effect, and I know it's not talking about politics, but just
effect. Maybe
Rastafarianism. Without him, how many people would have had any awareness of what Rastafarianism? Just that kind of thing, just that awareness.
I mean, I would consider being a Rasta after immersing myself in that music so much.
Yeah, it is incredible. I saw, before I went away this summer, I saw his son Ziggy play a concert singing his dad's material. Wow. And I just felt like that's probably as close as I'll ever get to seeing his dad. It was just a night of Bob Marley songs sung by his son. Wow. Looks like him, the band setup was a similar thing, and it was very special. Very special. Yeah. Well, we're going to hear another song of yours in a minute, but before we do, and it's kind of linked to this song, I wondered, you've incorporated the piano a lot more in your writing over recent years. Tell us a little bit about how that came about, because you're such a good player, and I was surprised to learn you've not been doing that for as long as you've been playing.
Yeah, so I started using the piano on Japanese Elvis because I had an accident to my hand and I couldn't bend one of my fingers, and so I couldn't play the guitar, and it was a bit depressing. So, I mean, it was really depressing. So, so I can play the piano not particularly well, but I just got a keyboard and just started writing some songs on the piano. And it was like a phase. I didn't really keep it up, although I do use it still. I have written songs on the piano last year, maybe not that often. But yeah, it was good to get a fresh thing, because then everything's different. You start using different keys. You have this different tempo because you're doing. So it was good. Yeah, I'll keep it up a little bit, I think, but it's not my thing. I'm a guitar person.
Well, you do sound really good on it, I've got to say. And this next song, Edge of Terra Firma, sounds like it might have been written on piano.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this song.
So I wrote it around when all those sort of the Brexit wars were going on. I was thinking about like nationalism, and so this is a song that's a bit political. And it's just about that really. I'm quite interested in that subject of like nationalism, and because I feel quite proud to be British. I'm quite proud of British. Lots of stuff about our culture, but a lot of people I know sort of on the left are sort of like very sort of anti that somehow, and I'm not, but I'm sort of also like really it's shameful at the moment with the Queen, all this stuff, and Brexit was a depressing period, so there's lots of things I hate about my country, but I try and be proud about it as well. So the song's just trying to like navigate that subject, and sort of, I suppose mainly it's sort of saying sort of negative things about poverty really in Britain. But
Great, and this is not released yet as well.
No, I haven't. I did. I put this out as a single actually. It's on Spotify, so you can listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, listeners in listener land. Go and get it on Spotify.
It's a cracking track, everybody. This is Joe Wilkes with Edge of Terra Firma. Absolutely love that. That was our guest, Mr. Joe Wilkes with Edge of Terra Firma, and that's got a bit of a cool sax solo going on at the end. I'm guessing that was you playing that.
John O'Neill.
John O'Neill, he plays everything, doesn't he?
You know him?
No.
He's on a lot of stuff, yeah.
He was playing the flute earlier, you said?
Yeah, he plays flute, clarinet, he plays all the saxes, God bless him, baritone.
So you made him work for his session fee
He's
then?
quite busy working for proper, people who can pay him. And then when he's not at work, you can get him for a couple of beers.
Yeah.
And he's my neighbour, so I definitely get him for a couple of beers.
Yeah, that's always good when you've got a
sometimes give him 20 quid as well.
Yeah, good lad, good on you, John O'Neill. Well, we've reached that time in the show now, Joe, where we ask our guests to pick out a track to play by an artist who's influenced them. Tell us who you chose and what track.
Black Waterside by Bert Jansch.
Wicked choice. Tell us a little bit about
that. It's not a clever choice, it's what all the folk guitarists love. It's like almost like the Stairway to Heaven of folk guitar. Probably Angie would have that mantle, but it's the one after Angie. And it's just amazing. It's just an amazing composition. The way he plays it. It's not. It's a folk song, but the way he arranges the guitar, it's just brilliant. It's exquisite. It's lovely. We all love it. All guitar players love it.
We really do, and you can hear a lot of Bert Jansch influence in your playing as well. You've got that lovely. You just got those. There's little shades of Bert Jansch and echoes in your playing, a sort of vibrato and an attack sometimes. And am I right in thinking that you got to meet and play with him?
Yeah. Did one gig with him. Met him twice. Did one gig with him. You've had Dave Sutherland on. Have you had Dave? I mean, he knew Bert really well. They toured together, and they were quite close friends.
Yeah, I think he produced Dave's first album.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah. I saw Dave the other night, and he was talking about he had some recordings, and I think it was Bert and someone else, well known, a folk singer, a female folk singer, and he said he just found them, and that they're not out, they're not sort of available, and you might have the only copies. Saw him on last Saturday down the Morden Arms.
He was playing with. No, was he?
No, he'd lent his guitar to Toby Carter.
Oh, did he?
And Toby was playing.
Fantastic. There's a good little scene down there, South East London, isn't there? I know Dave was playing the Pelton Arms.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I didn't go down, but I saw that he was playing there.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, wow. So hold on, let's go back a little bit. So you got to meet Bert Jansch twice. You played with him once. Was David Graham around the scene at that time as well?
Well, yeah, I was asked to do some gigs with David Graham, and it was Bert Jansch who ended up doing the tour with him, because he had this manager, this very young manager called Marcus or Mark something. Do you remember this time? It was about 10 years ago.
David Graham we talked about, but yeah.
David Graham, when they were both still alive, David Graham died first.
Yeah.
And I was booked to do a gig with him in Kilburn, and he didn't turn up. His sister turned up, and Wiz Jones turned up, and we had a great night anyway. And this younger guy, I mean, he was my age, but he was younger than that generation. He was managing David Graham, and he asked me if I'd do some gigs with him. It was a short tour of like civic halls and stuff. And I remember one of the gigs was the Warwick Arts Centre, which was a really good gig. I've been there, and I thought, oh, that's going to be brilliant. I'm going to play with David Graham. And that, I don't know why it didn't happen, but he was very certain about it. It was all sort of like going to happen, and then like so many other things in music, it didn't happen. And then maybe a year later, they were both still alive. I just saw that they'd done a tour together. It looked really nice. I'm glad they did it. And that was a sort of a co-headlining gig, Bert Jansch and David Graham. And then I think David Graham died first, didn't he?
Yeah, I think you could be right. I remember, I remember those years around 2005, 2006 when David Graham, I think he was starting to emerge out of the sort of fog and being away for a long time. He was playing places like the Green Note. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, sorry everybody who doesn't, David Graham is kind of like the king of the British folk guitar, really, wasn't he? He came up with this, first popularised at least the tuning Dadgad, which I'm sure many of you will have heard of, but it's swept all over Celtic music since and into American music, and Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin famously popularised it as well, and he was kind of the kingpin of that scene, and then Bert Jansch and other guitarists like Donovan and people, they would kind of follow Davey around until Bert Jansch got sort of parity and then maybe started to exceed him, maybe his influence.
David Graham didn't seem to go anywhere commercially. He just sort of hit something he just didn't really happen. A bit like Wiz Jones, who's just as amazing, and almost, like late 50s he goes back to. They're like pre-60s people, both of them.
Different world, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really a different world. That's cool. We're going to play this Bert Jansch track in a minute, but before we do, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your listening taste now. Are you somebody who listens to a lot of music in your day-to-day life?
No, I don't listen a lot, but when I don't listen to loads of. I do listen to some folk stuff actually, because I'm trying to learn more about it. So I have been checking out things like the Waterstones and the obvious go-to things. Yeah. Have you ever been down to Cecil Sharp House? Never.
That's a really old time folk club.
Yeah.
A lot of sort of finger in the air.
If anyone's listening, if anyone offer me a gig down there, I'll go down.
You should be playing it, mate.
But I mean, it's a good place to just find stuff. It's a library, isn't it?
It is. It has a library upstairs here where people like Cecil Sharp's archives. It's not obviously Cecil Sharp because it's named after him, but his archives are there. But also just the history in that place, and linked to the sort of British folk revival of the late 50s beyond. It's just all the greats played and and the American greats as well. So
oh, really? Right.
Yeah, you should definitely play there. But anyway, let's give this a spin. This is Joe's influence track. This is Bert Jansch with Black Waterside.
Yeah, he did that like a real DJ.
He's milking that for as well, isn't he, at the end of
Yeah.
How about that, everybody? Masterclass in guitar there by Bert Jansch. Absolutely wonderful. So I want to say a little hello to all the people who are listening live, because I'm just checking now. We've got David Binns. Thank you so much, David. First time listening live. Really appreciate it. Your nice words. Lovely Carl Hines, Sexy Legs. He says Green Note is a nice venue. Completely agree, Carl. We got lovely Rosella. Hey Rosella, thank you so much for listening. Jesse Coulter, otherwise known as Corey, thank you so much for tuning in. Steph, so good to have you with us. Goody B, so good to have you. We've got lots of people listening from Germany. Joe?
Love Germany. I've got a big following in Germany, so I think that's why.
Anything to say to the German people in German?
Danke schön. Well done for not having a monarchy.
Yeah. Well, I think their monarchy's over here now, isn't it? Aren't they German? When they all called like von Hoffenberg or something like the Queen and all these guys.
Liechtenstein.
Yeah, right. So that's what happened. They just palmed them off on us. Anyway, sorry about that. We're coming to the end of our interview, Joe, and we get to the exciting part for me. Well, it's all exciting, but I'm always intrigued by how people are going to answer this question.
This is your favourite part.
This is the bit where I start getting, I can't sit still because I get excited. So the question is, for those of you who haven't heard this before, I'm going to ask all our guests this question, and it is, if you were to curate your own dream concert lineup with a headline artist and 2 opening acts, none of whom have to be alive, who would you pick? And before you tell me that lineup, I want you to tell me, where would you want the concert to be, bearing in mind this is your dream concert, so you can have this anywhere you want this concert to be. It can be a field in Coventry, or it can be the Royal Albert Hall.
It wouldn't be a field in Coventry. Although it'd be good, you wouldn't get any feedback in a field in Coventry, so maybe it should be. Well, I thought I put this in my email when we were chatting, but it would have to be, dream venue would have to be Buckingham Palace. It just have to be.
I love that.
Yeah, because chandeliers.
Inside Buckingham Palace then, rather than
absolutely inside, yeah. Gold plated things, it'd be great. Bob Marley would be headlining the Book Pal gig.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And what era of Bob Marley is this? Is this sort of like when he was coming on the scene with the Wailers? Or
no, this would be like late Marley, but it would have Bunny and Peter Tosh as sort of guests in the group, you said they could be living or dead, so they're all dead. I was just saying, so Bob Marley's dead. Sport act would be Robert Johnson.
Oh, fantastic.
Right, so just because no one ever saw him, so what the fuck was he like? So, or what the heck was he like? Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Robert Johnson. Like, do you remember when you first heard him, and was it sort of like love at first hear?
No. I mean, I just came across him where everyone does eventually if you play guitar, and it's really spooky, his sound, and I really like it. But he's not like, I can't say he's like a thing for me the way he was for that second generation folk revival, Dylan and all that. They all sort of like worshipped him. But but a dream gig, I'd want to see him over someone that I might like their music more.
That's kind of my.
So he would be like first support, like main support.
Yeah.
And support, sort of opening support would have to be Elvis. And again, it would be late Elvis, okay, or late 70s Elvis. That's my Elvis.
So he's in Vegas at this point.
He's in Vegas. Yeah. He's done it.
And you're saying he's opening the show?
He's opening for Robert, who's opening for Bob.
I tell you, Robert.
Good gigs.
Robert's got his work cut out. Poor guy. I'm not sure about
doesn't he? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it's tough. I've been an acoustic act between bands, and it is tough, but yeah.
Well, it kind of makes sense to have the king in the Buckingham Palace, eh?
Well, they're like 3 kings, aren't they?
You're
like
right, actually.
King of the blues, king of rock and roll, and whatever Bob Marley was.
Spot on. And tell us about Bob Marley, and we've talked a little bit about him already, and how much you love his music. But when did you discover him, and like, was it something that just has been with you ever since, or was it, as time's gone on, you've fallen more in love with his music?
Yeah, Bob Marley, I'm from the Midlands, there's a lot of reggae there, played in reggae bands as a kid. I love Bob Marley. I can remember just the summer, like on the estate, just hearing it, just blaring out the windows. No Woman, No Cry, and stuff like that. I mean, it's just awesome. It's like great urban music as well, Bob Marley. What can I say?
Yeah, what a great choice, what a great gig, my man. It's been an absolute honour to have you on the show, Joe. It's been a long time coming, so thanks for making the effort to come up all the way from, where are you, South London?
Southeast, yeah.
Southeast.
At least a 45-minute journey, Deptford, yeah.
Some people don't realise that about London. It takes a long time to cross, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Worth it. Worth every minute.
So good to have you on, mate. So we're going to get you to play one final song to see us out. But before you do, tell us where people can find you online. Tell us, remind us when the new album's coming out, and tell us how people can get hold of your music. Yeah,
thank you. The website's down at the moment. Sorry about that, but it's usually joewilkes.co.uk, and then I'm just posting on Instagram at the moment. I don't post on anything else. I've got a Facebook. I occasionally post on it. Occasionally post on Twitter.
What do you post on Instagram, like live performances and stuff?
Yeah. Sometimes I just trying stuff out at home, and I just think, oh, this is good. I'll see if other people like it or whatever, or like just saying that I'm doing a gig or that I'm in court or something like that. You know. So,
yeah, you are in court coming up, right?
Court, yeah. So people can check it out. All Joe Wilkes news.
Yeah.
The whole tapestry of Joe.
Can we do anything to support you in this court case?
Not at the moment, no. I'm actually representing myself, so I don't need any legal fees.
Give us a quick synopsis of what's going on, because I'm sure people are curious now. After
I've been involved in Palestine Action as an activist. We closed down arms factories, and then we're that often ends up with us going to court. So I'm not guilty of my the offence that I'm charged with, which is criminal damage, because I'm committing a crime in some people's eyes in order to prevent a greater crime, which is the ethnic cleansing and the murder of innocent people in Palestine. So we target these weapons factories which sell drones, design drones, and parts for tanks and parts for aircraft, which are sold to the Israeli military, and they're used to do the most hideous, evil things. And we're just a network of people who occupy arms factories, basically. But because of the kind of direct action that we do, you do have to engage fully with the criminal justice system, should I say. So, we've got a few court cases coming. We've a really big, important one coming up in October. I'm not personally it's not my case. If people want to check that out, have a look at Palestine Action if that's the kind of thing that you're bothered about and interested in.
And you post about that kind of stuff as well?
Not really. I usually, I post about that on like my normal Facebook actually, just to friends, because it's kind of political stuff. I mean, my Instagram's got all my music on, so if people want to find out about my music, just head over there. And my website will be up again one day. I still own the domain name. So I've just got to do it.
Well, you got this new album coming out.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be ready by then. So when are you going to see us out with, Joe?
Yeah, it's a new song. It's called Traditional Style. It's a song about my granddad. Hope you like it. Thanks for having me on. Okay.
How about that, everybody? Mr. Joe Wilkes with Traditional Style, a new song and a bloody brilliant one as well. Absolutely cracking. Tell us what guitar you're using, Joe.
It's an old Levin. Doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Tony Lording. Do you know Tony Lording?
I do, Bo's mate, right?
Yeah, it belongs to him, and he said that I can have it on permanent loan, and that one day he might ask me some money for it. I love this guitar; it's absolutely amazing.
Looks
Thanks,
great.
Tony, I love you, Tony.
What a legend! That was Mr. Joe Wilkes, everybody. We're going to take a little break from the chat right now and spin some more songs.